Greetings, my fellow financial ninjas. Today I am going to talk about how to find good tenants for your properties. Over the years, I have come across some good, bad, and ugly tenants, and I have come up with my own methodology of finding a good tenant. And over the last few years, most of my tenants have been really good. They pay on time and have taken good care of my property, which is what you want. So I'm hoping that this video will help you in order to find and keep a great tenant. One of the initial steps obviously is that you can outsource the whole task to a property manager. That would probably be the most hands-off type of arrangement where they find a tenant for you and you just have to review. But then they also charge money, anywhere from 8 to 10% of your monthly rent and plus 50% off the first month rent in order to get the tenant situated. So it could be an expensive option, and I personally recommend that you should do this process yourself. It's not too hard, and if you follow the steps that I'm going to tell you, you can be pretty much assured that you'll be able to find a great tenant. So the number one step in this process would be to let your friends and family know about your property that is available. So basically word of mouth, and try to see if you can find a tenant that way. This particular method is kind of it could work both ways, because sometimes the friends and families might take you for granted, and you might have issues that might affect your relationship. So just be a little bit careful. I mean, if your Uncle Joe has had some issues in paying rent and stuff like that, then I would say not to rent it to him. The second and the obvious avenue for finding tenants is obviously website, Zillow, Trulia, Hotpads. I've had great experience with them. Basically, all you have to do is put the ad on Zillow, and Zillow pushes it to Trulia and Hotpads automatically. It asks you whether you want to do it, and you just have to click on say yes, and then it will push it out to those two sites. Craigslist used to be great once upon a time, but what I've seen is for rentals, it's not that good anymore. There are some other sites such as Cozy and apartments.com and such, where you can put your ads, but the one that has predominantly gotten me the most number of leads has been Zillow and Trulia. Now, when you put your ad out, make sure that it is nice and crisp with a great heading. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel for that. What you can do is use the advertisement that was used for putting the house on the market when you purchased it. The real estate agent, the seller listing agent, must have put some kind of a description. So you can recycle that and look over some of the other ads, and then kind of come up with your own and come up with a nice crisp ad that details everything about the property. Make sure that you get great photos. Very, very important. This is something that a lot of newbie landlords do not take care of, and it's a big no-no, because the first impression about your property is going to be through your website ad, and you want it to be as nice as possible. So again, here you can use the photographs from the listing agent. You can just contact them and get the photos, and then store it, and then eventually use them for your advertisement. Or the other option obviously is to take some good photos yourself, but make sure that these are really nice photos that showcase the property in the best light, which means that the property, the photos, it should not have any clutter in that, and the light should be great. And so what you need to do is, if you're taking the photos yourself, keep the windows open, turn on all the lights, make sure the house is nice and clean and there's no clutter or anything around, and then take the photos. When you write the ad, make sure that you do not put any discriminatory information in the ad. You would be surprised how many people do that. Like, oh, we want no single people allowed or whatever, So make sure that you do not make that discrimination based on race, religion, ethnicity, and what have you. Oh, and also make sure you put all the details about your pet policy and smoking and all that stuff in the ad, so that there is clarity when people see the ad. The next avenue for advertising is social media, and here I'm pretty much talking about Facebook. So you can use the Facebook Marketplace for putting your advertisement. And I've also seen that in some cities, for example, in San Jose, and many of the cities in South Bay, in particularly in Bay Area, they have these groups where you can join those groups and you can put your ads, and you can get quite a few tenants from there. So for some of my properties in San Jose, that is how I got my tenants. The next option is using corporate groups such as emails or bulletin boards that where you can place your ad. Make sure those ads are used for personal stuff. So if you have groups that are used for buying and selling and putting such type of ads, then you can use that and post your own ad and try to see if you can get some tenants from that. You can also put flyers in your break room, and or if your house happens to be in a place where there's a company and somebody that works there, you can give them the flyer and have them put it on in the break room. The flyers actually can be used in other places also, such as religious sites, such as churches or temple or grocery stores and so on and so forth. You can also put in for rent sign if it is allowed to put outside in your front yard, then that's great. You can just buy an inexpensive sign from either Home Depot or Lowe's, or you can order it from Amazon, and you can put it outside. You can also put it in the windows and put your phone number in there, so that the neighbors or whoever is visiting that area, and if they are looking for a property in that area, then they can call you directly. The last avenue is newspaper. I generally don't use newspaper advertisement. I don't think they are very effective. The only time when it could be useful is if your property happens to be in a senior community, and if you're looking for senior tenants, and a lot of the older folks might not be using the electronic media, so that's the only case where I would use the newspaper. One other effective marketing criteria is holding open house. You can hold open house on over the weekend, and you can put that in the ad that you're going to create, so that people can just kind of come in and visit and check out the property. That way you don't have to schedule separate time for you to show them the property. Once people start contacting you, you can create a spreadsheet where you can put in their first name, last name, and the email and their contact information. And if they have mentioned something, then you can just put it in there, and you can either invite them to the open house, or you can schedule a time wherein they can see the property. Make sure you respond to everybody on time. You're not the only landlord that the potential tenant is going to contact. So if you're prompt, then you can get that conversation going and schedule your viewings and so on and so forth. Make sure that you reiterate your pet policy and then smoking policy and all that stuff, so that the prospective tenants are aware of that. That pretty much is going to be the end of this video. I'm going to do it in two parts because I think otherwise it's going to be a little bit too long. So the part 2 is going to have the information about the actual rental application and what are the different background check that you should run and all that stuff. So make sure you watch part 2. And for now, I'm going to say goodbye.